And so we're definitely still leaning ever so slightly more and more into a buyer's market. All right, how's it going, guys? I'm Christopher McGee. I'm the owner of Halcyon Real Estate. We are affiliated with the Keller Williams Market Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today is the 16th of June. This is the numbers and the nuance where you come weekly in order to know exactly what is happening in Utah's real estate market. So I'm gonna jump right into it. If it feels like it's a lot of numbers and you'd like a refresher on what it all means, don't forget I've got a video that describes what each of these data points means up or down and what that means for buyers, whether it's up or down for a buyer or a seller. Let's jump right into it. Okay, much as it has been since the beginning of the year, inventory continues to trend up significantly. The amount of time it takes for homes to get under contract once they hit the market, that has been trending down since the beginning of the year, but it kind of fizzled out its downward trend, and it's really hovering right above 50 days on market on average for Utah. It's a little bit less time if you're in a more urban or suburban area. There's a lot of rural area in Utah that kind of pulls that average to be a little bit bigger, but the trend is the same, that it was coming down and it's kind of fizzled out. It's not a beeline to get the thing sold once you put a house on the market. On average right now, if you're in Salt Lake or Davis County or Utah County, on average it's taking about a month. And I don't see anything in the numbers that would suggest that average home prices in Utah are about to come trending back up. They've been trending very moderately down since the beginning of the year, and I don't see that changing with any of the data. This last week's data for average list price came up from the week before, but it's still within the margin of the downward trend. Importantly, last week, I showed how there were a lot fewer homes sold the previous week than normal, and it was an anomaly. It fell way low of what we would expect. And we talked briefly about how, wow, if this isn't an anomaly, if this continues, then this is gonna be a real strong buyer's market real soon. But I anticipated that number would shoot back up to the levels it has been, the number of homes sold every week, and that's exactly what happened. We jumped back up to about 600. It was exactly 600 homes sold last week on the nose. And so we're definitely still leaning ever so slightly more and more into a buyer's market, but it's not still, don't get the wrong idea, buyers, you're not slam dunking on sellers in this market. Homes on average right now are being sold at like 98% of the list price for which they hit the market at. And don't get me wrong either, if it's the house that a bunch of people are interested in, if it hits the market and it's got a lot of interest, a lot of people come to an open house, a lot of showings are scheduled, that house is gonna go sooner than that month that's average, right? So please work with an agent that is going to communicate with the listing side so that they know what the interest level looks like, they know what is important to the seller. Please don't think, buyers, that this is a strong market, everything in your favor. We can negotiate more and more in your favor at this point, but sellers still have several things going for them as well. Let's look at these numbers. Here's where things are in the Utah housing market as of June 16th, 2025. Our inventory is what we always start with. 13,198 homes on the market actively for sale right now in Utah. That is up from the prior week, trending up strongly still. Last week, the average days on market came to 52. That is up from the previous week, still trending down, but looking to have stayed in the low 50s for a couple of months now. Last week's average list price came to $725,336. That's up from the previous week, still continuing the slightest downtrend. The last week average sold price came to $720,543, making the difference again still in the buyer's favor between average list price and average sold price. That difference came to $4,793 in the buyer's favor. Important to note also is that last week's median sold price came to $525K. And that tells you that there's more people experiencing home buying in Utah around the range of $525K than there are at the average reported for last week price in the mid to low $700K range. Last week, as I said, 600 homes were sold in Utah. That's dramatically up from the previous week's anomalous drop to the mid 300 range. There are currently 5,454 homes under contract in Utah. That's down from the previous week, and that shows me that this is now a trend. Our currently under contract, our number of homes that are currently under contract at any given time, a month now of trending down data. So overall, our chart looks like this is trending up, but I'm looking at the last 4 data points and gonna say this is now trending down. The Prior week's number of price reductions came to 1,552. That's up from the previous week. Still got a strong trend up here. Last week, the number of listing contracts that were either canceled or expired or withdrawn came to 405. That's down from the previous week. And finally, interest rates right now stand at 6.91%. That is down from last Monday, hovering close around 7% still, but we'll take every bit down we can get. And that is it for this week, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about any of that data, hit me in the comments. I'm going to be happy to respond as always. If you or anybody you know is looking to move here in Utah in the coming months, I hope you're comfortable reaching out to me. I'm always going to be happy to work with you. It's my job to make this move as anxiety-free as possible. I know it's nobody's favorite thing to move, but let's button it up and make it as peaceful an experience as possible. And finally, if you are the kind of person who's interested in staying on top of this data, then you're not going to find a better way than to hit that subscribe and stay up on it with me from week to week. Thanks for watching this week, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, bye-bye.